Hey, Unicorn, we are back talking about the Unhook Tool, which is part of our FORTIFY tools. Remember, these are the ones that are all about protection. So for this tool, you're going to need your intuition, perhaps even your imagination a little bit. And I know that sounds weird, but sometimes our logic brain can step in on this FORTIFY tool and be like, oh, this is so weird. This isn't going to work. I promise it works. And it's only weird if it doesn't work, but it works. So it's not that weird. So we want to lean into our intuition on this particular tool. So how this works. This is all about unhooking the energies that can get attached to us from people outside of us. So if you imagine, if you will, you're driving down the road or the highway, and that big old fat truck goes zooming past you and you're like, roar, and it goes past you. And all of a sudden you feel angry and you want to destroy someone and you want to play Simpsons Road Rage and run over some lights or stuff or crash into cars. Okay. That is a very extreme example of what it's like to have a hook thrown into you, meaning that energy is not yours. That emotionality is not yours. And yet somehow in them speeding past you, their hook went out and it hooked into your beautiful, delicious soul. So we want to unhook that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify that I'm having an emotion that's not mine. Okay. If you're ever in a place where you're like, I don't know why I'm feeling sad. I don't know why I'm feeling that. I don't know why this. If you don't know why, pretty good indicator that it isn't yours. You're just going to check in with yourself. Is this mine or is this someone else's? Okay. Now, if it's yours, there's a whole other system for dealing with that. Okay. Go back to your write and burn and your release tools. If it's someone else's, we need to unhook that. So once I know this belongs to someone else, I'm going to ask myself, where is that hooked in? Now, this is where your intuition and your imagination come into play. You are simply going to trust whatever answers you receive. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like it's hooked in at my heart, believe you. If you're like, oh, I feel like I got stabbed in my shoulder, believe you. If you're like, I feel like they threw me in a gunny sack and are dragging me behind their truck, believe you. Okay, believe you. And you're going to imagine that space. So if you check in and you're like, oh, I feel like I got hooked here in my heart area. You're going to imagine that space. You're going to look at that hook. You're going to go, what is it that's there? Is it a hook? Is it a spear? Does it have barbs on it? Like, what is the deal going on? A lot of the time, these are simple hooks that you can imagine yourself grabbing onto. I know. Stick with me. Imagine yourself grabbing onto it and you're going to unhook it from you because it's not yours. You're going to unhook it from you. If it happens to have a barb, now this is a little more advanced, but if you're like, Deb, I'm trying to unhook and it's stuck, then you're going to ask yourself, like, is there a barb on it? Meaning there's something holding it so that when I go to unhook it, it won't come unhooked. If that's the case, you might just push it through a little bit. You're going to clip off the end where the barb is, and then you can unhook it. I know that's more advanced. For those of you that can follow me, they're great. For those of you who can't, just trust that the unhook is going to unhook. Okay. So we're going to unhook it. Then we're going to send it back to them because it is not ours to hold on to. And it is not ours to process. You cannot process emotions for anybody else but yourself. Okay, so we want to hand it back to him. What I picture in my mind are those old Electrolux vacuums that when you pulled on the cord and let go, it would suck it up. I hope I'm not so old that you don't know what I'm talking about. But there are these things that you just pull on them a little bit and then it would suck it up into the space. And that's what I imagine in my head. So what I do is I have that hook. And I like to put on a little bit of love. That's just me. You can decide what's right for you. But I just take a little bit of love and I hook it on the end. So they're not hooked into me. They're hooked into love. Okay. Not mine. Greater universe love. And then I'm going to give a slight little tug and I'm going to let go. And that's just going to zoop and it's going to be sucked right back up to that person so that they can deal with their hook, their emotion, whatever is going on. Okay. So that's how that works. We're going to identify, is it mine or is it theirs? If it's theirs, I'm going to find where it's hooked into me. I'm going to unhook it. I'm going to throw some love on that. I'm going to give a little tug and I'm going to let go. And that's going to be taken up by the other person. We're going to let them deal with their own shit. So when to use this? I recommend you use this when you feel emotions that aren't yours, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, hurt, judgment, etc. Or when you notice, sometimes you might notice, you just notice the hook You might not have even noticed any external emotions, but you notice the hook and you notice energy being siphoned from you. Okay? Energy being siphoned from you. So it may not be any kind of emotional response or overwhelm, but suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. What the hell is happening? Okay, that can be indicative of a hook. So in any of those circumstances, we're going to unhook and we're going to send it back. And with all love, let them go. Okay, got it? Got it? All right, awesome. I love that tool. It's so powerful when you implement it in your daily life. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.